tell us a little bit about your like sexual journey.
Yeah. So, okay, well, being from Texas, like, if you're from anywhere that's not like, I don't know, New York, Florida,
Texas, right.
California, you're from like Texas.
You saying Texas, like I'm like, oh my God, were you shunned? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, Texas is scary. But I don't know, it's just like a very conservative state.
Right.
And so my whole life, I mean, my parents, I'm lucky to have the parents I have because they're very accepting.
Okay.
But yeah, I knew from a pretty young age, but I never really understood the concept of like bisexuality. Like I knew there was gay and I knew there was straight, but I never really knew about that like in between. And actually the first time I felt like a real connection with a girl was someone that was very androgynous. So I thought like that was like my excuse was like, oh, she's like androgynous, so it's not really like
it's like kind of like still like a guy, but like whatever,
she still kind of looks like a guy, so like it doesn't count. Sense. Yeah, but eventually I was just like, oh yeah, like no,
you're bisexual.
Yeah.
Yes. First of all, I like commend you so much for just being honest and open, and like that must have been, I can imagine, as much as I'm sitting here like, yay, go Maggie, like I'm assuming there were really hard fucking times in your life, because as shitty as it is, like as much as we have tried to normalize like be whatever the fuck you want to be and own it and love it, it's still looked at by some people in the world as like, what do you mean you're not straight? Like what the fuck? And that I can't even get into that conversation because it makes me so mad. But I think my audience would love to hear like your journey of coming out, and like how did you first come out, and how did you tell your family, and like how did you decide to come out, kind of?
Yeah, so I think I had just turned 18. I'm pretty sure I was like newly 18. And I'd done this shoot with Galore. And there was like this pillow that said something about like sexuality and not being straight.
Yeah.
And I literally saw that and it just felt like such a sign. And I was I was just like, okay, I have to do this. So I went home and I just was like sobbing. And I actually texted my parents in a group chat, and I was just like, this is how it is. And I'm fortunate because I wasn't even living with my parents anymore, and I pay my own bills and all that. So I'm like fortunate that I had that, like, you know, I'm not still under their roof,
right?
But they were very supportive of it. They were kind of just like, yeah, like we figured a little bit, you know? Yeah. And then when I told my friends the same thing, like I just texted them and I was like, I don't know if you guys know, but I'm about to like do this live stream and tell everyone, and I want you guys to know first. And literally all my friends were like, girl, we know.
We knew, bitch, and we fucking love you still.
We knew. And I was like, wow, wait, what?
So wait, how the fuck did you decide to come out to your parents via text? Like, were you like, should I call them? Should I text them? Like, I feel like that's like kind of a hard moment to be like, what the fuck do I do?
I'm just so bad with confrontation. I hate confrontation.
That makes sense.
So if I'm gonna confront someone, or it's not like, well, like if I'm gonna like bitch someone out, I'm like good at that in person. But when it's something that I'm like,
like holding close to you, you're like, I'm gonna slide this in a text. Yeah. Maybe they'll miss the text.
Yeah, maybe they won't even see it. You know, won't see it. But I don't know. I just felt like that was personally the best.
Did you think that your parents had any idea? Like, did you think you were about to shock their world, or no?
Yeah.
Really? And then were you shocked when they were like, we kind of knew?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Okay,
well, because growing up, my parents were always like, oh my God, you're so boy crazy. And I was like,
you're like, and okay. Girl crazy.
Yeah. Like,
you're like, wait, mom.
Yeah.
And then your friends kind of knew.
Yeah. Well, yeah, they knew.
There's so many things happening right now because you just casually are like, and then like I was going to go live and like do it on a live stream.
Yeah.
So, like, we need to get into that. What the fuck? Like how did that go down?
I don't know. I'm really impulsive, and I think that was definitely an impulse thing, because also when I look at that live, it's so embarrassing because I'm like crying and I'm like, I like girls, and it's just so cringe.
But it's also like you've got to respect it because like that's where you were in your like that moment of life. Like when I look back at myself when I'm like 18 to 20, I'm like, so what was I doing? Like Alex, what are you doing?
Like, what?
So I get you must be like, oh my God, why the fuck did I do that? But what was the response?
The response was pretty good, but I think because I was like so emotional, a lot of people didn't think it was real. Like a lot of people were like, oh, she's just like mocking people, or like
shut the fuck
just
up.
Didn't think I was being genuine.
Right.
But
like it was like publicity.
But it's literally just because I'm an emotional person. Right.
And you couldn't help it.
Under pressure, I just always am like,
I'm gonna cry.
I'm gonna cry.
You're like, worst comes to worst, to start crying.
Yeah.
So the fact that you made the decision to like come out on a live, like I respect you for that, but also fucking terrifying.
Yeah.
And like there's obviously, I'm sure you've thought about different ways you could have come out, but like once you came out, obviously expecting maybe you experienced some type of hate once you came out.
Yeah, well, again, I think I'm really fortunate because I do live in California.
Yeah.
And it's just, things are just way more accepted here.
Yeah.
But I also think because I'm like girly girl and I'm like attracted to like girly girls.
Right,
so
right.
I think there's like, it's less of like a hate thing and more of like, I feel like it's very fetishized.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's, that kind of makes me feel uncomfortable.
Okay.
Because like, I remember when I came out, my ex-boyfriend literally was like, oh, so does this mean we can have a threesome? And I was like, bro, like, first of all, no, you.
You're like, first of all, you're my ex. So
you're my ex. Like, don't text me.
So like, literally get out of my face and like, you're never having sex with me again. Second of all, fuck off. Third of all, fuck off. Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So I know it. That is such a good point. I've never even thought about it like that. Like, guys fetishizing lesbians and being like, oh my god, it's so hot, like let's see you make out. Like, how do you get the confidence to own your sexuality and not be so in your head that people are judging you because you're bisexual? And can you kind of like walk me through like how do you mentally just like be okay with like, oh yeah, I am bisexual and it's amazing and I love it and I'm not gonna let anyone make me feel a certain way just because of like what society says we should or should not do?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for me, I've definitely owned it, but it does make it hard sometimes, like in relationships with boys or girls. Like, I think sometimes being in a relationship for a long time, you feel like you're missing something of like, like I see a lot of people talking about this, how they'll like be in a relationship with a guy and they'll be just like wanting a girlfriend. But it's just because when you're attracted to both, it's like they both bring different things to the table, you know?
Has that affected your boyfriends in the past? Like, are they insecure about it?
Yeah. My ex was definitely insecure about it. Like, just like, well, my boyfriend now is amazing. He's so understanding and he's just literally the best. But there's been times, where like, I don't know, it's just, because it's still like, oh, if you're off like being flirty with a guy, it's like, oh, are you like trying to cheat on me?
Right.
And it is the same with girls. Like, if you're super flirty with a girl, sometimes I think it does make guys like a little insecure because it's like, oh, is that just like your girlfriend or is that like a girl that you're trying to like talk to? And with girls, it's especially hard to tell because like, if you're flirty with a guy, like,
you get it,
you know,
you get
but if you're flirty with a girl, like, girls are just like that, even if you're straight.
Like, when you see a girl in the bathroom, like, it's like, are we in love or like, are you my best friend or will I never see you get, like, girls are just like
it's
that.
Just different.
That's extremely challenging. I can imagine. I think anyone that's listening to this podcast right now that is like struggling with their sexuality, struggling to like come out, struggling to be like, oh my god, are my parents gonna literally disown me? Like, do you have any advice for them that like you've now, I know it's like only 4 years, but still that wisdom that you've like kind of gotten over the years? Yeah,
I think it's just don't feel pressured to do anything. If you feel like, because I feel like a lot of the times people are like, oh, you just need to come out and if your parents don't accept you, then like fuck it.
Right.
But if you really feel like there's gonna be a bad outcome and you're not ready for that, I really think you know, you should like consider that and just do what you need to do to get by in the moment. But I also think that it's really important to own yourself and like be yourself and be authentic. So I just think you need to take the time you need and just really think about it, because it is like, you know, it is a big deal to some people. So I don't know. I just wouldn't rush things. I think that's one thing that's interesting. I just wish I knew when I was younger that it's not something that I needed to label myself with, and I didn't need to. If it's something that I wanted to keep personal, like I could keep personal, you know. I didn't need to explain. You don't need to explain yourself to anyone, including your parents. Honestly, I think if I didn't have a platform, I probably wouldn't have ever came out to my family.
That's interesting.
I mean, eventually they would have like found out, but I don't think it would have been something that was so dramatic. I genuinely think. I think the main reason I wanted to come out so bad was just because I was in LA and I, you know, am like now 18 and I just wanted people to know, honestly. Like I didn't want to keep having these like straight relationships and then like girls would just not want to talk to me because they thought I was straight. That's literally like the main reason.
Wait, that is so fucking interesting. Can I ask you, like, so yeah, you kind of have to put out feelers like, wait guys, I'm down to hook up with girls. Wait, I don't just like dick. Like I would love to hook up with you. Yeah. And like I was gonna say, like, if people, have you ever had to like be out and like how do you let a girl know? Because now that I'm thinking about it, like, how the fuck would they know?
It's so weird. I don't know. I feel like it's like so weird because there are, like I said, like so many straight girls will still like hook up with you. Right. And then they'll be like, sorry, I'm straight. Like,
oh my, is that so annoying?
And it's so frustrating because it's like, if you are straight, like, I think that's something that you should definitely tell someone. Yeah. Like early on.
I'm assuming, have you been in situations where you've hooked up with a girl and like, and then she's like, no, that was like, I was drunk and like, I'm like straight. It was just doing it for fun.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm getting like personal. It's okay. But I think
it's
people
okay.
love this.
I'm pulling from this one situation specifically. Okay. We were just like friends for a while. Okay. And then she just started making a lot of like comments. Okay. Just like insinuating it. And one night we went out to this club and we just like both got drunk and then we just like hooked up. And then it was fine. And then it just like, we just like kept hanging out, like obviously as friends. And then we would just like hook up, drunk or not drunk. Right. And so eventually like I was like, oh, cool. Like she's cute. You know, I was like, okay, here we go. Maybe I'll, fun. Yeah, like maybe I'll just try it a little more. Right. And then it was like, oh no, she's straight. I'm like, oh no, I'm straight. Like I just.
You're like, oh, you just black out like the past couple nights that we hooked up? Like what? And how did she bring that up? Like, was she like defensive? Like what happens in those moments?
No, it wasn't. It was just like, oh no, definitely straight, 100% straight.
Then you're like, so what are you doing?
I'm like, oh, okay, it didn't seem like it, but but like, what can you do? You know,
no,
you can't do anything. That's why it sucks though, because you're just like, it's not like it's just a person that is like does like girls, and then they're just like, oh, sorry, I don't like you. Right? It's like, no, I just don't like. I'm just not attracted to you like that. And
it's like, so fucked because the amount of like how glamorized I think it is. Like I remember in high school when all the girls were like, let's make out, and the guys are gonna think it's so fucking hot. Yeah. And like I will admit I've done that, and I'm like, when I was in high school, I will never forget like being in my friend's basement and I'm like, oh my god, the upperclassmen are here, like maybe we should make out. Like that is the stupidest fucking thing, and it's all it is to get the guys turned on. And then here you are saying like, you know, like you're hooking up with a girl, and then she's like, no, I'm just straight, and then it's like, no, why the fuck are you hooking up with me? Like what are you doing? That's really frustrating. I can imagine obviously that can get like confusing. When you hooked up with your first girl, like were you more experienced or was she more experienced?
She was.
A lot of the girls who you hooking up with, like, are they bi or are they just lesbian?
At first it was just lesbian.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, but there's this weird stigma around like bi girls in like the lesbian community for some reason.
Wait, what is that?
It's like this biphobia. It's so weird, but a lot of lesbians will not like date or talk to bi girls because
you also
like guys,
and they're like, penises are disgusting. Get the fuck out of our face. How dare you even look at them? Wow.
But like the lesbians I know are great. They don't think like that, but I have ran into like
people that are
like that, and they give you they're like, oh, you're bi, and I'm like, yeah, and they're like, oh, like, ugh.
Wait, that's so interesting.
But obviously that's not the whole community. I don't want to bash the whole community.
No, of course not.
But there are a lot.